Forget Project 2025. There's another blueprint quietly guiding Donald Trump's economic policy. And it's not a campaign document. It's a strategy paper written by Stephen Moran, a former Treasury official who is now quietly and significantly Trump's chief economic advisor. The paper is called A User's Guide to Restructuring the Global Trading System, and it lays out a high-level plan to rewrite the rules of global trade. The core idea: use massive tariffs, 10, 25, even 60%, not just to punish bad actors, but to restructure the entire global economic order. Sound familiar? And the trick? They believe these tariffs won't cause inflation or pain at home because foreign countries will simply adjust. Their currencies will fall just enough to absorb the cost. It sounds elegant. It sounds controlled. But if you followed history, particularly the Iraq War, this should all feel familiar. A blueprint written by well-connected ideologues gets picked up by an opportunistic administration. But it's not read carefully. It's not executed carefully. And when reality refuses to behave like theory, the results can be catastrophic. So here's the thing about tariffs and currency offsets that almost no one explains clearly. And it's the crucial flaw in Trump's economic strategy. Let's say the US slaps a 25% tariff on Canadian aluminum. The theory, and I mean literally the theory in the document written by Trump's current economic advisor, is that Canada's currency, the loonie, will fall by 25%. This way, US buyers don't feel the price hike. It's like the math cancels out. But currencies don't move like that, at least not neatly. They're not tied to tariffs like puppets on strings. They're driven by investor confidence, interest rates, global risk appetite, 1,000 other things. So if the Canadian dollar drops, but only by 1%, that's not a real offset. Americans are still paying 24% more for that aluminum. That cost hits US businesses. It hits consumers. It pushes up inflation. And if the Canadian dollar drops too much, then Canada gets hit with inflation, capital flight, possibly a recession. Suddenly, the whole global economy is wobbling because someone expected math to behave like politics. And this isn't theory class. It's the global economy. And if the currency offset doesn't happen, the pain is real. We've seen this movie before. A complex idea born in a think tank gets condensed into a simple doctrine. It moves from white paper to campaign promise. It falls into the hands of an administration that sees the outcome it wants, but skips the work required to get there. America did this with the PNAC, the Project for a New American Century, and its now infamous document, Rebuilding America's Defenses. It argued for preemptive strikes and Middle East regime change long before 9/11. After 9/11, it became doctrine. Iraq was invaded. The results were disastrous. Now it's happening again. This time not with tanks, but with tariffs. And once again, the costs will be real for markets, for consumers, and the stability of the world economy. It's all there in the document, but just like last time, no one's reading the footnotes. We cannot stay silent. We cannot absorb this quietly. Canada and the world must retaliate, not because we want to escalate, but because we must defend the principle that global trade is not a gangster chess game run by one man's whims. We must show Donald Trump that we are not his pawns, not economically, not politically, not ever.